Iisha, what are the Cowboys doing at number 26?
Also, what? Y'all.
General draft question.
Okay, so where do you think they are looking? Because obviously Stephen Jones has begun on this station doing his pre-draft reports. So he was on yesterday, I believe, with the KNC Masterpiece. And one of the things that, when he was answering a question, he went right to tight end. So that's really bolstered people's thoughts that tight end could be the spot. Like, where do you think that they would like to focus this pick?
So I really, at first I was in the mind frame of like, we've been talking about guard, how much of a need, I guess, guard is. But when you look at the tackles in this draft class, especially like the upper echelon first round, second round tackles, a lot of these guys have shown the flex to be able to move to guard, or you would just hope that they have the ability to. And one thing that I've kind of stood firm on for a while is just how Philly showed you how a stout offensive line can solve a lot. I mean, let's not get it twisted. Jalen Hurts played through injury a lot towards the end of the season, but that offensive line really kept him clean as much as they could, and it made a difference. I just feel like when you're moving forward with this offensive line, you're trying to figure out how to protect Dak Prescott moving forward, and how obviously you saw the injuries this past year. So with Bobby, we talked about it today on the draft show, like Darnell Wright from Tennessee really feels like a guy that maybe they are taking a closer look at, or they're interested in maybe having that flex at guard. Steven also mentioned, and he said it, and I was actually very happy, he mentioned Tyler Smith, and they're looking forward to him being the tackle. Doesn't mean I'm not 100% sure. I'm one of the people that would like to see Tyler Smith stay at tackle, just so he can get comfortable at the position and continue to grow. But the guard position, with the idea of maybe taking a tackle, is something that I think could be very likely given what's going on. And if not, you just take Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse in the second round and go about your business.
Okay, I appreciate that, because like we've all focused on the first round, but we haven't really thought about what could happen in the second round. Like, say something like Bijan Robinson drops you at first, like in the first round at 26. Yeah. What are the ways that you could then supplement that? And I'm sure that you guys have on the draft show, but I know that like us on the radio side, where we get to focus on 26, and that's where the sexiness of the pick is. But where are the ways that you can kind of undergird that? And I appreciate that. What was the name of that guard one more time?
It's Matthew Bergeron. He is from Syracuse. He is one of the absolutely. He is one of the maulers in this draft. I feel like he's one of the few that are left there at that tackle position once you start getting into that second, third round. And the guy's footwork is just impeccable. He's so fast. First time I seen him, I said, Terrence Steele, is that you? With some hair. With some hair.
Not with some hair, though.
With some hair, though. The footwork is there. I also, too, he has that attitude, very similar to Terrence Steele. The work ethic is there, but his ability to get to the second level, and the way that offenses like to move the ball now, I think he would fit very well into a West Coast offense. So Matthew Bergeron is a guy that I think that if you decided to take him in the second round, you could take him in the second round if indeed maybe one of these receivers fall to you. Maybe one of the receivers fall to you and you take a receiver first round. I know there's been some talk about Quentin Johnson. He got the streets ticked off. I think Quentin Johnson from TCU has stirred up more conversation on Twitter about. Some people are baffled that some people don't like him, and some people wholeheartedly like, no, I don't like him. Don't like his drops. Don't like that he's more of a possession receiver. I don't see that. I see a versatile player, and I was one of the people that had to take a second look at him as well.
It's interesting how this wide receiver class has been viewed. I believe Dane Brugler the other day, when talking about the wide receiver class, had mentioned something, and I don't want to misquote him, but he had said that if Jackson Smith and Jigba had been in a draft class a year or two prior to this one, he would not be even a top 5 wide receiver in his draft class in terms of wide receivers for that particular year. So that just kind of gives you an idea based on who, obviously for yourself and others who have studied this class for wide receivers, not necessarily great in terms of the position itself, given some of the names that are in this year's.
I'm trying to be fair, man. Listen. I'm trying to be fair to these receivers, though. Because I think that a lot of the conversation that we've had about this receiver class in general, I think a lot of these opinions are based off of old ideals and size and things like that. But when you look at college football and look at how it's being played, you don't see a whole bunch of big body, tall receivers just thriving out here unless they're red zone threats, unless they're boundary guys. And looking at how the league is starting to evolve, I mean, you want steady route runners that can get open on their own, make things happen in space. I mean, ask the Cowboys. They know what it's like. All it takes is one play for a guy to get a ball on a slant and take it to the house.
Yeah.
That's what teams are really looking for, breakaway speed, stuff like that. So I'm trying to be more understanding about this particular receiver class. I think some of these guys are getting a bad look just because of what they don't look the way that the part is normally used to looking.
Sure, but how does that then jive with, okay, so like Jackson Smith and Jigba, who by for most people's money is being considered wide receiver one, being a dude who gets open, sure, but does not have breakaway speed, does not have like that spectacular portion of his game, and also does not seem like he play on the outside, size or no size, right? Because there's some guys that don't have size that can play on the outside, and that works. I think that is the question that I have when we start talking about this wide receiver class, because it's fine to be, smaller and then just get open, but do you have the excellent qualities that then make you capable of moving all over the place, which I think is the big value nowadays in wide receivers, in addition to that?
No, yeah. I mean, people mention, especially with Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you talk about the fact that he lacks in some areas. I feel like almost every wide receiver in this class has something that they can get better at, and that's just the nature of, I guess, what's happening right now. A lot of these guys also, too, are really starting to focus more on their skills, their route running, they're working with gurus, they're doing things like that. And I think a little bit more than years past, I feel like this is something that's being emphasized. Now, when you talk about blocking, and being, involved in every play and all that stuff, like, I do understand some of the concern with size, but when you look at some of these gentlemen, they have the willingness to get out there and block. I know Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee is someone that people have started to talk about quite a bit more, because the gentleman on the other side, Jalen Hyatt has the breakaway speed, has the pop, has the interest, but people are concerned about the fact, can he do all of the other things that, we need a receiver to do? And so if you're looking for an all-around receiver, I think it's far and few in between in this draft. You got to pick and choose what you want and what fits for your offense. Some of these guys, you're not asking them to come in and right away be the guy. It depends on what you're looking for and what you need production-wise.